welcome to another episode of Conversations with a Counselor. I'm Kim McGuire, the School Counseling Coordinator for Savannah-Chatham County Schools, and this is our dual enrollment episode. Dual enrollment is a program that has been around for several years, but as you may have heard in the news, there have been several changes with the program. So what we want to do today is introduce you to dual enrollment with the four institutions that we primarily work with, although there are additional options available to students throughout the state of Georgia. To begin, we want to just tell you what dual enrollment actually is. Dual enrollment is a program that is open to students who attend eligible public, private, and homeschool programs. Students have the opportunity to earn both high school and college credit. Again, that's both high school and college credit at the state's expense. The state pays for students to take courses through the dual enrollment program at eligible institutions, both public and private. Students may take courses in the fall, spring, or the summer. And the state, again, they will pay your tuition, books, and some of the fees that are associated with dual enrollment. With House Bill 444, students must be in the 11th or 12th grade, and there are very few exceptions to this, with some 10th graders being able to participate if they take courses that are CTAE. That's our Career Technical Agricultural Education Program. Your courses like welding, healthcare, perhaps even automotive. Some of those courses they can take as early as 10th grade. Also, if students have at least a 1200 on the SAT or a 26 ACT, they may be able to participate as early as 10th grade. But again, those are exceptions. Primarily, dual enrollment now, based on House Bill 444, is for students that are in the 11th and 12th grade. Another couple of notable changes. Dual enrollment at this point, you may only take English, math, science, social studies, and world language courses. And again, those career technical and agricultural education courses, better known as CTAE. The state will no longer pay for fine arts or health and PE courses through dual enrollment. So again, that is a big change from the program previously. Also, there is a cap now on the number of hours that students may take through the dual enrollment program. Students are limited to 30 hours if a school is on semester system, or if the school is on quarter system, they're limited to 45 quarter hours. Again, that's a hard cap of 30 semester hours, but again, still a great advantage because 30 semester hours is actually, if you plan it right, your freshman year of college. So you'll want to note another change. Dual enrollment will no longer pay for a student to take a class twice. So if you take a course and you fail it or don't do as well as you would hope, dual enrollment will no longer pay for that class or pay for you to take that class again. Another change is that after you've withdrawn from a class twice, you may not be eligible for dual enrollment participation. The state will no longer pay for you to take those courses if you've withdrawn twice. So students, it's very important that you pay attention to information that we're going to present today so that you can make an informed decision. Parents, you pay attention as well so that you can help your students with making an informed decision about that dual enrollment process and the institution that they will participate with dual enrollment courses. So you may be asking, once we watch this session and get the information and we're making some plans for dual enrollment, what should we do next? That's a great question. So first step, contact your high school counselor. That is the first and most important step. We are stressing so that we can make those college deadlines and make sure that your student gets their courses on time and at the time that will align with both their high school and college schedule if needed, because we do have some students who are taking all of their classes at the college, and they don't even come to the high school. They're still enrolled as a high school student because you have to be a high school student in order to participate in dual enrollment, but they do not come to that high school campus. They are strictly at that college campus. But first up, talk to your high school counselor. Our deadline for that is October 15th. Again, that's October 15th if you are planning to participate for this coming spring. For those of you who say, well, I think I may want to participate during the summer or next fall, that deadline will be May 1st. So again, students and parents, please make sure that you are aware of those deadlines. Those deadlines are in place so we can make sure that we get you enrolled, get you in those classes, and do so as quickly as possible. After that, you must make sure that you have completed the admissions application for the institution that you're planning to attend, because you have to be admitted to that college or university in order to participate. So you have to complete that admissions application, which you most often can find on the college's website in the admissions section. Dual enrollment students typically do not have to pay the application fee as long as you make sure that you identify yourself as a dual enrollment student on that application. Usually there's a drop down there where you can select that you are a dual enrollment student. Also, you must complete the Georgia Futures funding application. So we just talked about the admissions application for the college itself, but in order for those courses to be paid for, you must complete that Georgia Futures funding application. That application must be completed before you can begin taking any classes or have a conversation with the college about those classes that you want to take. There's a part for the student, there's another parent, and there's a part for the school counselor. But again, students, you must complete your part first on that Georgia Futures funding application so that your parent will then get their part, and then your counselor will get their part after both you and your parent have completed that. Georgia Futures has some great videos to walk you through that process. It's done all electronically, and if you're having trouble with that, please make sure that you are reaching out to your counselor in a timely manner. But again, Georgia Futures has put some great step-by-step videos out there to help students and parents with completing that funding application. Last step, after you've done that admissions application and the funding application, then you can get registered for your classes. And this is an exciting time, but also a time where you want to make sure that you are, one, selecting courses if your plan is to continue at that institution or that your plan is to transfer. You're selecting courses that will actually align with the program that you are planning to pursue later at that college when you are enrolled as a regular student. And courses perhaps that will transfer, like your basic English, math, science, social studies, or if you're seeking a certification in one of those career, technical, agricultural education areas that we mentioned, because students can get certifications in those areas. But make sure that you're taking the right courses. There are wonderful college advisors, some of whom you will meet today, who will assist you with that process and work with your high school counselor as well. So make sure once you get registered for those classes, make sure you're asking those questions about which courses will transfer, which courses will align with your goals as you matriculate through college or with your college plans. Okay, and now we have Chip Winters, who is with us from Point University. Thank you for joining us, Chip. Can you tell us a little bit about Point University?
Sure, be glad to. Point University is a private liberal arts school located in West Point, Georgia, which is right on the Georgia and Alabama line. And we have a campus here at Savannah located across the street from Compassion Church out on Little Neck Road. And we've been in business for about 81 years now. In terms of the dual enrollment program, we started in 2014 here and grew over the years to where we ended up with 14 partnership schools where we held classes.
So now let's talk about requirements. What would a student have to do in order to take classes with Point University? What requirements would they have to meet?
Okay, thanks. Yeah, our entrance requirements are similar to many other schools in the area. We look for a 1050 on the SAT and a 20 on the ACT. However, one of the things that's been unique for us for a while, for juniors and seniors who have a 3.0 GPA, now that's an academic GPA, not just an overall, it is looked at for core courses. Point may often just waive those test requirements. That's just for juniors and seniors. And I always tell students and parents when we do this in person to keep in mind that there is something actually called an acceptance committee, and they review every bit of your transcript to see whether or not everything lines up. And occasionally, Kim, we get into a situation where a student is borderline. So we do have an option of doing placement tests as well. And we can cover that as we need to as it comes up, if it does.
Okay, that's something really important. Students and parents, make sure that you're understanding the difference between that cumulative GPA, which includes all of your courses, and that core academic GPA, which looks at the 4 core areas: English, math, science, social studies, and also looks at world language
Right.
as well. So great distinction made there, as well as the option for students who may not have that to also have a placement test done. So that's great.
Good.
Tell me a little bit about what makes Point unique. What makes this the institution that my students should go to for dual enrollment?
Be glad to. Prior to COVID, one of our main points of distinction was that we had formed partnerships with many of the Chatham County schools, and we sent our professors to the schools instead of the student having to go to another college campus. And while some students really do like that experience of going off campus, there are many who just simply couldn't do that because of transportation or costs or time. So it was a wonderful thing to be able to be face-to-face with students on your campuses. With COVID, that's obviously changed a bit. So in March of last year, when suddenly everything shifted to online, whatever that meant, we encountered quick change. And there are 2 types of environment usually associated with online. First is an asynchronous, where students just simply work by themselves online, submit work, a teacher will answer them, sometimes they reply to one another, and have to manage their own time that way. The other is synchronous, where we actually met face-to-face at the exact same time that we did in class. And we found very quickly, literally within the first week, we were going to stay with the synchronous meetings. The big benefit of that was that it enabled students to have some stability as they entered into this whole new COVID world. In addition, what we found for this year, there were a lot of discussions of whether or not schools were going to start on campus or face-to-face or half and half or half days. And we made the decision early on and talked with you about it, Kim,
Right.
where we were going to commit for the entire semester to stay online in that synchronous format. And what it's done is it enables our students to know that at a certain time on certain days they've got classes, and we actually meet like this face-to-face at a certain time. So it improves student to student as well as student to teacher interaction. And that makes for a personal touch, we think, better than when it's just online. Some students are really fine with that, but most in that transition years from junior and senior year really appreciate at least there's some social contact that way. 2 other things come to mind. Most of our classes are under 20 students. In fact, most of them are about 10 or 15, so they're small classes. Again, that makes for a personal touch, and I always kid when I'm in person and say one of the bad things about that is you can't get lost. If you're in a class and there's a few students, you need to be prepared. And then finally, as with most of the schools, we cover the cost of books. That is something that Georgia Futures does cover. And so we make sure that we take care of that. As a matter of fact, this year, all but 2 or 3 of our books are electronic, so there's not even any exchange of those books. And then we do have occasionally with a science course where they have labs, and that just has a $75 fee that's not paid by the state.
Okay. So some great information there, that personal touch with those small class sizes, being able to offer those classes on campus when we are meeting physically, and also having the option even right now to have that synchronous environment so that students have contact with their teachers and they're able to get assistance as needed.
Right.
So Chip, we've gone over the requirements and what makes you unique. We have information available, as far as steps available for students, but contacts for point. We do have them here on the screen, but and then can you tell me a little bit just about your contacts or your colleagues really quickly?
Sure. And I also want to mention the deadlines, which are coming up quickly.
Yes.
The deadline for applying for spring semester is October 15th. And Kim, one of the things I always tell students, and if you're interested in dual enrollment, now is the time to act. Don't wait.
I agree.
The other thing we say is get in touch with your high school counselor. They are wonderful people. I've dealt with every one of them. And they're really helpful in navigating all these different ins and outs of the college experience. Jenna Prince, excuse me, is our dual enrollment advisor. She's kind of my sidekick here when we're normally in the schools. Her number is on the screen as well as her email. She's probably the best person to get in touch with in terms of specifics. Let me reiterate, your counselor is the first step, but in terms of contacting us, that would be Jenna Prince. Elsie is a wonderful woman I work with who also is very in touch with all the enrollment details. And then, of course, there's me listed on the screen as well. I do have a couple of classes that I teach. I'm one of the English professors. So sometimes, actually every morning, I'm pretty busy until about noon, but then usually available afterwards. Our emails are there as well, and we welcome your getting in touch with us anytime. We also are available at point.edu. And if you scroll down, you'll see the dual enrollment section there.
Okay, well, that's great. So just being able to, again, you meet with your counselor, your high school counselor, but then also those point contacts that are there to assist you throughout the process. Well, Chip, I really appreciate you for sharing information about point and showing that as an option. We're talking about it as an option for our students and parents so that they are aware of all of the opportunities that are available to them. Thank you so much for your continued partnership, and I appreciate you for participating with us.
Thank you for your time too.
Hello, my name is Kristen Boylston and I'm with Georgia Southern. I want to just take a moment today to talk to you about the Regional Education Collaborative. The partners in the collaborative include Savannah State University, Savannah Technical College, Georgia Southern University, Savannah Economic Development Authority, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Savannah-Chatham County Public School System. The goal of the collaborative is to help students either be enrolled in post-secondary, enlisted in the military, or to be gainfully employed by the time that they graduate high school. So as part of the collaborative, we've instituted several articulation agreements where it makes it easier for students to take courses at any one of the three institutions part of the collaborative, and those courses will be fully transferable between institutions at both the Technical College System of Georgia as well as the University System of Georgia. We've also entered into a MOU with the Savannah-Chatham County Public School System related to dual enrollment. And as part of this MOU, each of the institutions have committed to increasing the dual enrollment opportunity for students overall, rather than singularly seeking enrollment for their own institutions. So each of the institutions are still going to conduct their individual efforts to recruit and enroll dual enrollment students, but through the collaborative and through the MOU, such activities really going to be conducted in a spirit of cooperation, with the institution seeking a full understanding of the potential student's goals and then directing that student toward the institution that's best suited to meet their goals. So we're really excited about these opportunities and the work that we're doing, and we just wanted to share that with you today. And we hope if you have any questions, you'll please reach out, and we wish you the best of luck in this journey. Thank you so much.
So we have with us now Shatili Sims, who works with Savannah Tech. Shatili, thank you for joining us, and please tell me a little bit about yourself, or tell our audience about yourself.
Okay, thank you for having me, Mrs. McGuire. I'm really excited to be a part of this conversation. I'm Shatili Sims, the high school coordinator for Savannah Technical College, and right now I am housed at the main campus on White Bluff.
Okay, all right. And you work with all 4 counties, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the requirements at Savannah Tech for dual enrollment, which we know may be different from our University System of Georgia schools.
Yeah, I think Savannah Tech is unique in the fact that we can accept students several different ways. For instance, if a student is wanting to take an English 1101 course, we can look at their GMAT scores from 8th grade, which would be a minimum score of 525. Savannah Tech is still unique in the aspect that we also accept PSAT scores, PACT scores, SAT scores, ACT scores, AccuPlaces scores. I mean, there's just a whole gamut of ways that we can accept students. And my favorite way is with a Hope GPA of 2.6. So on our website, we have our requirements listed. And I have my little dual enrollment checklist cheat sheet here. But if anybody wants to know, after March 2016, the SAT, PSAT score is a 17 for reading as well as writing and language, and a math score of 21. For the ACT, we accept scores with a reading 16, English 14, and a math 17. And the AccuPlaces scores vary, but again, those scores are all on our website.
Okay, all right. And with Savannah Tech, one of the pieces, again, that's just a little bit different, is that you all offer certificate, diploma, associate degree programs. We know with some of the changes, now most students would just be able to take or would be able to complete more so a certificate program.
Sure.
With the changes. But can you tell us about some of those options that students may have as far as programs that they could possibly pursue?
Yeah, sure. I know that most students love the fact that we offer hands-on programs where they can actually get inside the classrooms and have that experience with working with either machinery, tools, live heads in the cosmetology department. So some of our most popular programs are, again, cosmetology, aviation technology, barbering. I've used those barbering services. Welding, a new one that is really on the rise, cybersecurity. I mean, we just have so many programs. A lot of students are interested in healthcare science. I mean, you name it, Savannah Tech has it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And in addition to that, those core courses that you mentioned earlier, like your English 1101, 1102, those are classes that can transfer to the University System of Georgia schools,
Absolutely.
correct? Like a Savannah State or Georgia Southern.
Absolutely.
One of those
Yes.
institutions.
Yes, we encourage our students to either seek higher education, whether it's on the technical side or with the 4-year, college, university side. We want you to stay at Savannah Tech, but if you choose to spread your wings, we do have 26 courses that transfer to any 4-year public institution or any 2-year public institution. I'm really sad that dual enrollment no longer covers music appreciation and arts appreciation, because those are really popular courses, but anything with English, science, social studies, we pretty much have classes that will take care of the needs of our students.
Okay, all right. Well, that's good information for our students and parents to know. So would there be any other unique or value-added piece that you want to highlight that perhaps you haven't already highlighted about dual enrollment at Savannah Tech?
Yeah, with dual enrollment has changed throughout the state. So it used to be where 9th through 12th graders could take classes, but now for the most part, 10th graders can take our CTAE program courses. That would be the welding, barbering, aviation, cosmetology, medical classes, things like that. But when they move up to 11th and 12th grade, they can take those 26 transferable courses. So I think the thing that makes Savannah Tech a little more distinct than some of the other schools is we have quite a few campuses. We have a campus on White Bluff. We have a campus on Pooler. We have a campus in Effingham. We also have another campus in Liberty. So we kind of are like stretching across the Savannah and Low Country region here. And What I love about us is the fact that we're so small. And we really pride ourselves on being hands-on and one-on-one with our students. If you need an advisement session, if you're coming to the Savannah campus, it's going to be with me. It's going to be one-on-one. It's either going to be virtual in our office. We get to know our students by name. Our class sizes are really small. So we try to make it feel like a home within a college. So I think that's what's really unique about Savannah Tech. And they have me. And I love my students.
All right. Well, that is good to know, and thank you for making that distinction, because with the changes with dual enrollment, we know that primarily 11th and 12th graders are the students who can participate. However, Savannah Tech does have options because of the CPAE or career or technical courses, as we would call them. Savannah Tech can offer some of those to 10th grade students as well. Just keep in mind that those same caps, as far as 30 credit hours, still come into play, even if it's a CTAE course that you're taking. But there may be some options with the HOPE grant. Is that correct?
That is correct. So if a student, reaches their funding cap with dual enrollment hours, and like you said, it's the 30, if they're enrolled in one of those programs that are covered under a HOPE grant, and it's a long list of them, you can check those out on the Georgia Futures website. As long as they're in one of those programs, they can use HOPE funding hours to pay for them. And what I also love about Savannah Tech is the campuses are so small, and we are offering in-seat classes as well as the online classes. And whenever I walk into an in-seat class, especially during this pandemic, I feel really good about the fact that I haven't seen more than 10 students in the class, and everybody's spaced out. So the learning environment is really conducive, especially, during a time like this.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I really appreciate you for joining us and sharing more about Savannah Tech. So go to Savannah Tech's website, which is
www.savannatech.edu.
All right. And if they click on dual enrollment students, you can find out additional information there that will help you with understanding the criteria for admission at Savannah Tech. Well, Ms. Sims, thank you so much for joining us today, and we really appreciate it.
I was so excited, and I'm glad that I had the opportunity to talk about dual enrollment at Savannah Tech. Thank you, Mrs. McGuire.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so we have with us Allie Jones-Hancock and Rachel Gibbs from Georgia Southern University, and they're going to share with us just a little bit about the dual enrollment program at Georgia Southern. So Rachel and Allie, thank you for joining us. And if you two can just tell us a little bit about yourselves and your role at the institution.
Yeah, so I'm Rachel. I am the academic advisor for all dual enrollment students at the Armstrong campus. So as soon as a student is admitted, you will be with me from your first semester until you graduate. And if you want to continue with us, you would then have a new advisor.
And I'm Allie Jones-Hancock. I am a freshman and dual enrollment admissions counselor. I'm based here at our Armstrong campus in Savannah. So I help you throughout the application process. And you have to get through me before I let you talk to Ms. Gibbs. But I am here to be your resource through this application process.
Okay, all right, and thanks again for joining us. So just to jump right in there, what are the requirements for students for dual enrollment? And we do know that with COVID, there have been some changes. So if you can just share a little bit about that with us.
Yeah, so we have a really straightforward application process right now. You'll submit your application, your Georgia Southern dual enrollment application through your GA Futures account. And you will send us your high school transcripts. We do need a 3.0 academic GPA. So that means just your core classes. We're not going to calculate your elective classes into that GPA. So submit your application through GA Futures and send us a copy of your high school transcript. We don't need any test scores right now for spring, summer, and fall 21 applications. So if you are applying for spring, summer, fall 21, you don't need to send them right now. If you're watching this and you're thinking I might start spring 22 or beyond, it may be possible that you will have to send test scores in the future.
And if I could add on just a couple of things. One, with the application, one thing that we have seen, and I'm sure other schools have as well, is the admissions application is separate from the funding application. So you may think that you have submitted your application and you're waiting for that, did I get in or not? And it may have been that you did the funding application. So just make sure you do both pieces. So our admissions application and the funding application. And then one thing else that I would add is with the admission of test scores, you will need to have completed Algebra 2 and your second English prior to enrolling. And if you will not have had that completed, you would then need test scores at that point, and you will be contacted by admissions if you fall under that category.
Okay, so some great distinctions there, making sure that students have completed through Algebra 2 at least 2 English units. If not, then they will need to submit some test scores there. And also that great distinction about there are 2 different applications. There's an admissions application for the institution as well as the Georgia Futures funding application.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And you do need to be a junior or senior to do dual enrollment with us.
Correct. All right. So students and parents, make sure, because you've heard that multiple times and we don't mean to keep saying it, but we want to make sure that you understand those distinctions when it comes to that dual enrollment process. So thank you so much for that piece. So what makes participating in dual enrollment a unique process at Georgia Southern? We have all of these institutions. What makes it the best fit or the right thing to do to participate at Georgia Southern for our students?
So I can go ahead and start. Of course, I'm going to be biased, but one of the things that I think is really great, and so when we meet one-on-one for advisement, I will ask you questions about, do you have majors that you're interested or any fields you're interested in? And I will make sure that you are taking classes that are getting you towards that goal. Or if you don't really have an idea of where you're wanting to go yet, maybe just taking more of those general ed courses. And so I really work to make sure that the courses you're taking are going to count for you, not just for high school, but when you move on, because that's really the key piece of dual enrollment program. So I think that is one of the things that really sets us apart from some of the other institutions.
Mm-hmm. And what I really think is a unique opportunity about dual enrolling with Georgia Southern is that, as you know, we do have multiple campuses across Southeast Georgia. So for dual enrollment, you'll most likely, since you are a Savannah-Chatham County resident, it's a little closer for you to attend the Armstrong campus for dual enrollment. But say after graduation, you want to attend the Statesboro campus. It's a really seamless process. You don't even have to reapply. You don't have to pay the $30 application fee. You just complete a form and we can continue you through freshman year and change your campus. You don't have to send transcripts. Really seamless process. So you can stick with us for dual enrollment all the way up through senior year at Georgia Southern.
Okay.
And I think one other thing that I'll add, just because a student emailed me about it today, is that you can get involved in all of our campus organizations on campus. So I just had a student who was actually elected to the executive board of a campus group. So really exciting. You can get involved in pretty much anything a traditional student would be doing on campus. So really get that 4-year institution experience as a student still in high school.
Well, that's really awesome, because the whole purpose, again, for dual enrollment was to help give students a leg up when it comes to experiencing that college life. That's great to hear. Awesome for that student to have been elected to that position, which goes great on their resume, and to think they beat out some students who are full-time college students for that position. So that's great to hear. You mentioned that the 2 of you will be the primary contacts. Are there any other contacts that students will have, or any other pieces that they would need to know about dual enrollment on your campus?
We're the primary. I will say if you would like to test for AccuPlacer, you could connect with our testing office. Something to keep in mind if you are someone who is looking to potentially start in a higher math rather than algebra. So if you're someone who wants to come in and take pre-cal or calculus, sometimes we need those test scores. So taking either the ACT, SAT, sometimes AccuPlacer can, they'll factor that in. So you could connect with our testing office to schedule for AccuPlacer on campus.
Okay. All right. Well, I thank you for participating with us. One piece that I think we also need to, add in there, while dual enrollment pays for your tuition and things, there are some fees that are not covered by the dual enrollment program. Perhaps like your lab fees, or if you have to pay for a parking decal. Is that true of Georgia Southern as well?
Yes, your lab fee, if you take a lab science, it's going to be between $20 and $50. That is your responsibility to pay. Parking permits are good for the whole year, and it's $60. It just went up this year. There is a free parking lot that you could go with if that is kind of out of your price range. All books are covered, but if you do require maybe like goggles or there's like eye clickers, those would not be provided, but all your textbooks are.
Okay, all right. Well, still a great value for our students and our parents. You can almost get a full year of college out of the way, make that seamless transition, and the state has really made that affordable. So thank you, ladies. Is there anything else you want to add, or if not?
No, check your email. Make sure if you're applying, really important to check your email because that's how we'll communicate with you. And you'll get an email from me once you're accepted to get registered for classes, which is the biggest thing. So definitely make sure you're checking whatever email you put on your application.
Yes, and this is college, so don't let mom or dad complete your application. Complete your own application. Consider it your first college assignment.
That's great tips. All great tips there. Well, thank you, ladies, again, and we appreciate your time and sharing with us on this episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have with me Mr. Brian Dossey, who works with the admissions department at Savannah State University. Mr. Dossey, please tell us a little bit more about yourself and your role at Savannah State.
I appreciate that. Again, I'm Brian Dossey, the Director of Admissions here at Savannah State University. A Savannah native, born and raised here, went to school here, and love the opportunity to be able to work with students and making sure that they have the documentation needed, walking them through the actual admissions process, and answering any questions once they're admitted on next steps as it relates to dual enrollment.
So working in the admissions office, one of the pieces we want to talk about are the requirements for participating in dual enrollment at Savannah State. Can you share with us a little bit more about that?
Sure. The minimum GPA the student would need to have is a 3.0. And primarily we want to make sure the student have at least 2 Englishes, 2 maths, 2 sciences, at least 2 social sciences, and a foreign language if possible. And they have to have that 3.0. So if I'm not mistaken, I know with Chatham County, they operate on a 10-point grading scale. So at least an 80 in those academic classes is what they would need for a GPA. Now, of course, right now, due to COVID, we are test optional. So students do not have to submit SAT or ACT test scores if they did not. However, if they didn't submit any test scores, then we would definitely look at the courses, making sure that they have those Englishes and math, and primarily in the math, making sure that they have at least an Algebra 2 or an equivalent. Now, if they have the Algebra 2 or equivalent, then they can be admitted with the GPA without the test. If they don't have the Algebra 2, then either we need to see test scores or we can have them take the AccuPlacer here. And based upon how they do on the AccuPlacer can determine if the student can be able to continue on with the program or not.
Okay, and just to make that distinction, because I know some institutions that's a 3.0 core GPA, which means that we're just looking at English, math, science, social studies, and world language. at other places that 3.0 can be a cumulative GPA. So is it cumulative or is it just that core academic for Savannah State?
Core, yeah, and I'm glad you made a distinction, Ms. McGuire. Yeah, it's core. It's a core academic. So your Englishes, math, science, social science, and foreign language, that's where that GPA will be calculated based upon those classes.
Okay. All right. So that's good for our students to know. Now, you mentioned that due to COVID, right now, that test requirement has been suspended. Will that be for the remainder of this year for right now, or is it just for those who are looking to be admitted for this coming spring?
But it's for the actual year, because initially it was going to be for spring and summer, but then they included fall too. So even those students who are looking at attending fall 2021, yeah, the requirement would be they'll be test optional.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. That's good to know. Good to know. So looking at Savannah State, we know the history that comes with the institution.
Yes,
what would you say is that value-added piece, that unique piece? I have to say, as I'm an alum of Savannah State, so it holds a special place in my heart.
Recognize it, Kim. Don't do it. Recognize it. Okay.
So what would you say would be that unique or value-added, piece for a student that's looking to attend dual enrollment at Savannah State?
I would say the concept of family. And that's no different from when I'm talking to even a regular freshman that is coming in. I'm gonna get small class sizes. Now, of course, within this new dynamic that we're in with the pandemic, we do offer classes virtual, as well as we do hybrid, so that maybe some classes where you may be in class, maybe a week, out of class the next week, just making sure that we stay with the CDC requirements and guidelines. But pre-COVID, I'll definitely say the family, and it's still family. Everyone here on this campus, to include myself, the president, and others, have a vested interest in making sure those students are successful here on campus. I'll always talk to students that if they have any issues, that I even mentioned it to yourself and other counselors. If they have any issues, then I'm nothing but a phone call away to make sure that whatever issue that they're going through, that we handle that issue, get it straightened out, get it taken care of, so they can be able to move forward. Also, the opportunity for them to interact with other students is another value-added piece too. Students don't know that they're in dual enrollment, so that anonymity is there. So they have an opportunity to meet with these students, kind of talk, kind of glean from them, and they learn from them, and in turn, the students will learn from them as well. But definitely the family aspect is something I've always pushed. I mean, we are an institution, but we do treat our students as if they are our own. So we definitely will make sure that they're on task like they're supposed to, love on them when need to, correct them when necessary, because it's all in the development of the total student. And that's what we believe, and that's what we practice here at Savannah State University.
Okay, and that definitely, I know was a part of my experience. And for students who are looking to do dual enrollment with a University System of Georgia school, those classes, and I know through eCore, they can even take courses that are online with you all, or that perhaps are offered in partnership with another institution. Is that correct?
Yes, that's it. And that's what the eCore initiative is. Those students can take those classes online. They take them with Savannah State. It's not necessarily, like you said, not necessarily mean they have a Savannah State professor, but the classes will be housed here at Savannah State. So we'll make sure that they're registered and get them through that piece, work with them with any issues they may have with the online platform. But like I said, the instruction, there may be an instructor from another institution, but yeah, they have that option of taking those classes here at Savannah State and still get the same credit.
And that's great to know, because these classes, one of the benefits of dual enrollment, you're getting both that high school and that college credit. So even with the changes that have been made to dual enrollment, those 30 credit hours, that's your freshman year.
Exactly.
Complete.
Exactly.
Yeah, and paid for by the state.
It just amazes me, how many hours students have accumulated through the dual enrollment program. I know, unfortunately, there have been some changes in the state legislature as to how many hours the student can be able to take. But I know prior to that change, we had students that had like 50 and 60. And I know there was one student who was here through the early college program, and he earns like 60 hours. So when he went off to, I think it was the Medical College of Georgia, UGA, he went in as close to a junior.
Mm-hmm.
and because he had all the classes already here, taking at Savannah State. So to kind of see that, and then from the parents, that financial standpoint, I always tell that to the parents too, like you said. So even if it is 30, then think, guess what? That's 1 year of college you don't have to pay for because it's already taken care of by the state. So definitely it's a win-win for both the students and it's a win-win for the parents. And what I always normally tell students too, and we talk about this in the various different slides, is a difference between being eligible and being ready. You can be eligible academically, but the concept is, are you ready? And especially in this new normal that we are experiencing now with the COVID, and now, with these classes being online and in the hybrid, that is going to take a lot of discipline and responsibility on that student to know that, hey, I got a class that is going on at this time, especially if it's the week that I'm face-to-face or if it's the week that I'm virtual, just to make sure they keep up with that, to know that that the assignments are on them, they get that syllabus, and they have to be just disciplined and know that I know on this date I have to have this assignment in, because it's a whole different ball game. And even with the parents, because I see a lot of parents, they want to call the institution, and I'm like, but it's a different dynamic when you call in a college as opposed to calling, the Board of Education, because of FERPA and some other things that are in place. Then it's not that readily available. So it's going to take a lot of maturity on the student, and then a lot of understanding on the parent side too, as to making that adjustment. But it can be done. It can be done. I've seen a lot of students who come here and have done it and have done extremely well in the program. So it can be done, but it's just to make sure that the parents and the students know that they have to hone in on those traits in order to be successful in that program.
I think those are some excellent points that you've made. There's a difference between being academically ready and also being mature enough to handle the rigors and the requirements, of this new environment when you're talking about being ready for college. But this is good training ground for what you will experience if your plan is to continue with your post-secondary study, which is one of the pieces of dual enrollment, to give you that idea.
Exactly. And I hear students who've been here and some other places, and when they talk about going to college, the whole anonymity and the whole I don't know is out the window, because they had that opportunity in high school. So when they get to the college campus, this is not nothing new. This is not nothing foreign, because they've already had the exposure to it. So they're able to thrive better than their freshman counterparts who have not had a dual enrollment experience, because as they're now trying to get into the groove, trying to get the habits, they've already established that 10th, 11th, 12th grade year. So they're coming in already at an advantage. So I always tell students, if they have the wherewithal and they have the willingness to do it, definitely do dual enrollment. I can assure you, you won't be disappointed.
Okay, so we talked about 3.0. If needed, the AccuPlacer can be administered if needed. This exemption, as far as testing is concerned, is in place through the fall. Front end, I know that they will work with you, Mr. Dossey, but you also have support for them through your academic advising office. Can you just tell us just a little piece about that?
Sure, definitely. We have a young lady that's in the Center of Student Success by the name of Jana Prater, and she serves as our point of contact for all of our dual enrolled students. So just like you alluded to earlier, we handle the front end. So all of the documents to get you admitted, that's just the admitted, because there's another piece, as you kind of talked about, in regards to the payment that has to be done with the counselor and all of that. But just the admissions part of it, meaning the application, the transcript, test scores, if you have them, that is done through my office. We go handle all of that and make sure that the student is admitted. Once the student is admitted, then the handoff is to Ms. Prater. And Ms. Prater will be that point of contact from this point until whatever, and making sure that the student is registered for classes, to make sure that those classes are in the portal so they can be paid. And she also will serve as that liaison to the counselor, to kind of have that conversation with the counselor to find out what classes the students need in order to finish up their requirements for high school, and just to make sure the students on track. So they're not taking classes that are not covered by the state, and they're not taking classes that will be applicable to their degree program if that's the route that they want to go. So she'll be kind of that guide and that person that will work with them once we get them admitted to the institution.
Okay, well, that sounds great. So we've learned more about the process at Savannah State University. Mr. Dossey, do you have any closing remarks here for our audience?
No, well, one would be you can do the application through Georgia Futures, and no, the application is free, so it's no application fee. And then definitely make sure that they have that initial conversation with your counselor. One thing we've seen in the past is that sometimes our students in an angst and kind of happy, they want to go ahead, they want to just start the process. Sometimes they leave the counselor out of it, and we're like, no, your high school counselor is the most critical and crucial piece of this whole process. So get with your counselor, have a conversation with him or her, to make sure that before you even start the application process, that you have the requirements, being the academic requirements. Because what we don't want to have happen is the student to go through that whole process, then for us to tell them, based upon your GPA, you don't have it. So have that conversation with the counselor up front to make sure that all the requirements are met, and then submit that application and then go from there. But we'll definitely love any student. Matter of fact, we'll love all the students to come to Savannah State, so we all can make them Savannah State Tigers. But I know Georgia Southern and Point folks will be a little hot. But we love them to come here. But we all pretty much doing the exact same thing and sharing the exact same purpose. So whether it's Savannah State, whereas Georgia Southern, or Point University, my parting words would be definitely do it. Because it's almost like if I knew then what I knew now, I wish they had something like this when I was in high school. So do know, young people, that didn't happen in 97, 98. When I was a graduate, we didn't have anything like this. So take hold of that opportunity. Again, this is money that the state is paying for you to take classes towards a degree program. Just the thought of knowing that you can leave high school with 30 hours already complete, that's unbelievable. You're talking about, again, a whole year already satisfied, and you did it in high school. And you can do it because you've shown that you can be able to handle it by going to high school and going to college at the same time. Because I was going to say earlier, you got brand new freshmen that's still figuring it out. So you have an opportunity to kind of jump in there, learn a little bit of it, and make it happen. So yeah, we definitely look forward to having the students here at Savannah State. And of course, as always, anything that I can be able to do to be of assistance to make the process much smoother or assist in any way possible, definitely know I'm just a phone call away.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Dossey, and we certainly appreciate you for sharing this information with our students and parents. Again, we will have slides that will show up at the end of this presentation, and you will be able to find, we do have a dual enrollment section on our school council website, on our district page. We do have information there for all of the institutions as well. And again, just thank you for sharing in this time with us.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for watching today's session, and we hope that it was beneficial for you and will help you make an informed decision about the dual enrollment process. Thank you.